Hi everybody, it's Jenny from the Missouri Star Quilt Company, and take a look at this quilt behind me. This is a really fun project. So let's look at this. Isn't this cute? We've used our orange peel template for this. We've halved them, put 4 on a square to make this darling quilt. So to make this quilt, what you're going to need is 2 packets of 5-inch squares, and we have used Handmade by Bonnie and Camille for Moda. I'm always a fan of their fabric. You're going to need 2 1/4 yards of background fabric, and that's what you're going to cut your squares from. From your sashing, you're going to need 1.5 yards. And for your outer border, you're going to need 1.75 yards. Now we use the same fabric on those, so the total of that is 3 1/4 yards. I hope that makes sense to you. Also, for the back of your quilt, we use 3 3/4 yards of fabric, and look how beautiful this is. This makes a great backing. It's a nice pattern with the hexagons, and it's just adorable. So that makes a great backing for that. And again, that's 3 3/4 yards. This is going to give you a quilt that's about 60 by 68. Pretty close to there, give or take a few seam allowances, but it's a good size quilt. So let me show you how to make this. Now, we took our background fabric and we cut 8-inch squares. You know I'm a fan of the pre-cuts, and normally I would have used a 10-inch pre-cut square. But when I cut my, my orange peels to put on there, they just look kind of lost. There was too much space in there. So we just decided to use yardage, change it up a little bit, and cut our own 8-inch squares. So from your pack of 5-inch squares, what you're going to do is you're going to take those 5-inch squares, and you're going to take your little orange peel template, and you're going to lay it side to side, and you're going to just cut your orange peels out of your 5-inch squares. You're going to do this to all of them, and that comes off. I'm just going to flip this around. It's always better to be safe with the template, so be careful. Now, if you have a Sizzix machine, this is a great time to get that out. Sizzix has made all of our templates into dies, and you could just crank those little orange peels out, and that makes it really nice. So once you get your orange peels done, what we're going to do next is we are going to pile them up, and I have about 4 here. The length of these is 6 1/4, and we want to cut them right in half. So that's 3 1/8. So I'm just going to line them up like that, and I'm going to grab my little ruler here and cut right on the line. I'm going to cut those right in half. Then we want to just mix them up. I mean, we're not matching anything here. We want to just mix them up. So you're going to take your 10-inch or your 8-inch square. I used a lapel stick. We've got these awesome lapel sticks. They don't gum up your sewing machine, and it keeps things in place. Because what we want to do is we want to stack 4 of these on our square. Now, an easy way to do that is to take your square and to fold it in 4ths like this, and make finger press or iron the little folds on the sides so that you have little centering lines. See how that is? I have centering lines here and here. And then you can do the same thing to your little half a orange peel. And you can just set it like that. Make sure that they're in the center, because you do want them to pretty much match up from block to block. I would say almost match up. So let me get another couple here folded. And I'm going to lay these on here just like that and line up my 2 little pressing lines. Then you want to attach them. You don't want them to fall off as you go to your sewing machine, and so you're just going to take a line of glue and stick it on there. And you actually could do this before you lined them up so nicely on your sides. I just wanted to make sure that I had 4 that were going to go together. And lastly, this guy right here, this little blue guy. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to stitch these down. Now you can use a tiny little zigzag or a blanket stitch. Either one works. I'm going to use a little blanket stitch on mine, and I'll find my stitch up here on top and put it in, and it should give me just what I want. And you'll have to find that on your own machine and make sure, you know, that it looks the way you want it to. And then what I'm going to do is I am just going to go up and do that little blanket stitch right along the edge of these to all 4 of them. Stop at the top, come around, and go down the other side. And I have a whole bunch of these done. So this is basically what you're looking for right here is this little blanket stitch that goes right around there. And you're going to sew all 4 of them down like this. And so I've done a little pile of these right here. And it just makes a fun little block. Now, when we go to put these together, we're going to use that sashing fabric. Whatever size your square is, that's the length of your sashing fabric. Ours is 8 inches, so our sashing fabric is going to be 8 inches. And you're going to sew a strip in between every square, just like this. And I would make sure that these are different. Mostly because I like things scrappy. That is personal preference, and if you want to match up, you can. So you're going to do this, a row of these, like this. And then let's look and see how many we have across here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 across, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 down. So 6 across, 7 rows, and we're going to do this. So now, when you get ready to put the sashing row in between, it's going to have our little 1.5 inch cuts. Now we've cut this out of the background fabric. We cut 1.5 inch square. You're going to get 16 squares out of every strip that you cut, and you're just going to make a row of those to go in between. Here's that row right here. Now we have carried this out here in this first border as well. It blends in with this, but it enabled us to keep this little tiny cornerstone out here, which is just a little cool touch. Now, interestingly enough, when I make these patterns up and I put them on my design wall, I'm just using scrap fabric of what I have around. But I want to show you something interesting. Because of the fabric I used to make it up, when I put this together, this is the pattern right here. See this circle? You might not be able to see that until I put my finger around it, but these circled up like that. And that was because of the fabric that I used. And so it's always fun to me to see what happens when you change up the fabric. So this is a great project, a little fun project, a great way to make use of a couple of little charm packs. And we hope you enjoyed this tutorial on the broken orange peel from the Missouri Star Quilt Company.